Welcome to the W2W review. I am the Oakland Knight, and today we're going to take a look at the Jack Del Rio press conference and the Derek Carr press conference, as well as maybe touch a little base on the uniform color rush at the end of the program. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. We're getting ready to end the week with the New Orleans talk anyway and put that game finally behind us. But before we do that, we need to talk about the press conference between Jack Del Rio and Derek Carr from yesterday. So let's go ahead and jump right into the Derek Carr. Let's start with Jack Del Rio. A lot has been talked about Jack Del Rio this week and the decision that he made for that 2-point conversion, the confidence that he instilled in his offense, just the cojones it took to even call that. And he called it early. I mean, he called it before Derek Carr went out there for the drive. And I mentioned yesterday that he talked about it being, when we score the touchdown, then we're going to go for two. So it was already a pre-planned game plan moving forward that once they do this, it's going to be on. So I think that's something that should be taken a note of. I believe that as we go into week two, it's going to play big dividends on how we look at the game and the confidence that we're going to have in one another, because your head coach has that kind of confidence in you. But once again, Jack Del Rio was asked about that specific play call. And sure, he could stand up there with complete confidence and talk about it because, well, it worked out. It worked out for the best. But, he understood, and he was asked straight up, was it because Drew Brees, you didn't really have an answer for Drew Brees? And Jack Del Rio answered it in the right fashion. He didn't really talk about strategy and what he was thinking or why he did it. Now, I know for a lot of us that could be frustrating. We want to know all the inside scoop of what was in his head, what made him feel that way, why did he think that way. But at the end of the day, Raider Nation, it was a gutsy call. It took some big cojones to call it, and we understand, without Jack Del Rio having to say it, we understand why he said it. We know it had to do with the fact that we did not have the answer on defense to stop Drew Brees. In fact, even by going for that 2-point conversion, Drew Brees, within 40 seconds, put them in a position to try a 61-yard field goal that, yes, was missed. I mean, those don't come easily, especially when you have an undrafted rookie kicking the ball. So at the end of the day, once again, what great cojones it took to make that kind of call, and kudos to Jack Del Rio for having the confidence to do that, to instilling it into Derek Carr, who, by the way, I don't believe needed a boost of confidence at all. I mean, this guy looked determined as all hell to make that happen anyway. And, Derek Carr would have been rallying the coaches himself to go for two and try to win the game right then and there. So it all worked out. It all was for the best. But, looking at this game now that we've had a few days to really digest everything that happened on Sunday, because it was a crazy game. I know you all sat there and watched it the same way that I did. And, there was a point in time where you thought this game was over. I think that wasn't even the best call of the day, to be honest with you. I think the best call of the day by Jack Del Rio, and a call that took just as much cojones to make, in my opinion, was the benching of Sean Smith. Now, Jack Del Rio actually stated in his press conference that, yeah, he did bench him, and he didn't think twice about it. It was a decision that he knew he had to make, and he made it. And that took some great cojones in its own right to be able to bench a guy like Sean Smith, who's been in the league for 8 years. You paid this guy $40 million to be on this team for 4 years. So you're essentially paying him $10 million a year, and you sit him to ride the bench in a game where you have a chance. Now, they picked on Sean Smith. They felt that, the matchup was too big for him, and obviously it was. Now, regardless if it was just because he had a bad day or not, it just wasn't working on the outside on Cook. I mean, Cook just kept, exploiting him. And Jack Del Rio took the gutsy call to bench a veteran like Sean Smith that has a reputation of being a good, solid shutdown type corner. Now, is Sean Smith a Darrelle Revis? No, he's not. But, I mean, the guy has a lot of skill set. If you look at his play in the preseason, he was just blanketing everybody. So to actually see that, I personally did not expect it. But once again, I mean, Jack is making decisions on this football team to win the football game. And he felt that the best chance that they had was to put DJ Hayden in there. Now, trust me, guys, this is kind of a touchy subject, right? Because every single one of us does not have the kind of confidence in DJ Hayden that this coaching staff has. But once again, this coaching staff gets paid to make these kind of calls, to make these kind of decisions. And, you know, they know what goes on the practice field. They know what goes on in film rooms. They know who they feel is better prepared to take these kind of tasks on. I do believe it was a situation of speed. Pirate talked about it earlier this week. He talked about the fact that, you know, DJ Hayden has great feet, and he does. He has very quick feet. He has, you know, good speed. So it was a better matchup for DJ Hayden. Now, did DJ Hayden perform at a level better than Sean Smith? In certain areas, yes. And Jack Del Rio talked about it. He thought that DJ Hayden did a fairly solid job. Now, you know, what did Jack mean by that? What is fairly solid when you go out there and you get 3 PI calls and, you know, you gave up yardage yourself? He didn't give up as much yardage as Sean Smith did, number one. And number two, I just think that thrown into that spot, he did pretty good. And out of the 3 PI calls that he did get, I believe it was 3 anyway. That's what I'm rolling with. Only 2 of them, I think, were fairly legit. The first PI called on DJ Hayden was absolute garbage, but you know, you got to be able to take those calls and run with it, and that's what this team did. They battled back. They did just enough to win. We expect more from this defensive group, and I personally expect more from them moving forward. But again, Jack Del Rio, you know, I think did Sean Smith a solid. He took him off the field, and you know, this is a 50-50 gamble here, though. You know, we still don't know what this means moving forward because we really haven't heard from Sean Smith. Now, I will sit here and guarantee you that Sean Smith's going to be the starting corner this Sunday versus the Atlanta Falcons in the O.co. This guy is way too talented to bench completely at this point. He showed too much in the preseason that he still has the ability to do what he does as a professional. He just had a bad day. We all have bad days, and sometimes you just have to be able to make those kind of calls and don't look back, don't think about it, and just roll with it. And that's what Jack Del Rio did. So kudos to Jack Del Rio. My only concern moving forward in the decision is that I don't want this to turn into a D'Angelo Hall type situation where, you know, D'Angelo Hall became a cancer in the locker room and we ended up trading him within 3 games after him being there. So, you know, as we look at this moving forward, I mean, Sean Smith is in a position to where he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. So as long as that chip on his shoulder is not towards Jack Del Rio and this coaching staff, Sean Smith has the opportunity to become the defensive player of the game, in my opinion, because he's going to be asked to cover a guy like Julio Jones. So what a way to get another opportunity at showcasing your skills and going out there and doing what is necessary to win the football game. So I believe personally that Sean Smith is going to be completely fine. In fact, I expect Sean Smith to have one breakout football game. And that really stems from Jack Del Rio making that decision. I mean, you could actually, you know, boost this guy's confidence by keeping him out there, continue to let him battle. But if you looked at Sean Smith's attitude and body language coming off the field after that 98-yard touchdown pass to Cook, he looked like a man that was a little defeated. I'm not going to lie. I mean, he was upset. And every time that you show that kind of emotion after a big play like that, you know that there could be some room for concern there that obviously Drew Brees was in his head. They were picking on him. He was getting outmatched. He didn't have the answer. He just didn't have his A game Sunday. And that's okay. You know, I'm not going to judge Sean Smith off one game where he got lit up. You know, I'm just not. I believe that Sean Smith has the perfect skill set for this defense. And even though I do understand the concept and the scheme that we placed on our defense to play a little bit more man coverage than zone, which is not Sean Smith's strength. Okay, Sean Smith's not the fastest guy on our football team by all means, but his strength is to play off man, play a little bit more of that zone coverage, have some safety help, and he could actually do a tremendous job. We've seen it in the preseason. So he was kind of thrown out of his element, so to speak. I mean, if you're going to play to your strengths, then you allow him to play more off man and come up and make plays and have a better chance to run with a guy like Cook down the field by having a 5-yard jump on him. But that being said, I mean, it is what it is. I believe it took a lot of guts, a lot of cojones to make that call, just like it took a lot of guts and cojones to make the call to go for it. The 2-point conversion at the end of the fourth quarter with 40 seconds left. So, I mean, once again, the biggest thing I want to point out about what I seen from Jack Del Rio here in week 1 was the confidence, A, in his football team to go for the 2-point conversion, and B, just him understanding the game and understanding that he has to make some, as the head coach, you have to make tough calls. There's not too many head coaches out in the league that have the cojones to bench a guy like Sean Smith. He did it and didn't think twice about it, and he stood up there and he owned it, and he's not even sugarcoating it. Jack Del Rio's up there basically saying he had a bad day. And he's letting everybody know that he does not expect Sean Smith to be that kind of player all year, but he just simply had a bad day, and there's nothing wrong with it. And he made a judgment call. He made a call that was best for the football team, and I give Jack Del Rio nothing but respect for making that call. Now, the one last thing I want to touch upon, what Jack Del Rio talked about, and I thought this was just a real key point of what he was talking about, and that was, when you win a game like that, when you have, especially defensively, where we struggled throughout the whole game, you gave up 429 passing yards and 4 touchdowns, and you're able to pull off a victory because you show the confidence in your team, it makes the week a lot easier to move forward with. He knows, he stated it. There's a lot of things that this team has to work on, but there's a difference to be able to go into this week and do it with a smile on your face. And it's something that he touched upon. Nothing's going to change. We're going to go to work like we would every single week. We're moving ahead. Next on the list is the Atlanta Falcons, and the things that we have to work on and the things that we have to clean up. We get to do it with a smile on our face because we actually won the football game. So with that being said, you can't knock the guy for any decision that he made in the game. Why? Because we won the game, and winning cures all. Even all the talk that we talk about Bill Musgrave and his play calling in the first 3 quarters of this football game, he turned it on when it counted. We got the points necessary to win the game. And when you look at the statistics, once again, it's really kind of hard to get a full judgment. We all know what needs to be done. This coaching staff should understand what needs to be done. And once again, you get to do it knowing that you got away with it with the victory. It makes it so much easier. Your team is full of confidence. They believe in each other, and that's the key focus moving forward. In fact, that's exactly what we're going to go over in the second half, is the way that this team views each other as individuals and why it's that way. And one of the main reasons and key reasons it is that way is because of our leader, our quarterback, Derek Carr. Nobody shows the confidence and the mentality of a winning attitude than Derek Carr on this football team. I mean, I've seen Khalil Mack have a great attitude. There's been a lot of talk about Reggie Nelson and the impact that he's had on this football team as a leader in the secondary, Rodney Hudson and the respect that he has. But Derek Carr, hands down, is the leader of this football team, and we're going to get into that in segment 2. And one little fun note before we go to break, there was a video that came out last night with Jack Del Rio was talking about being asked the question about going for it on 2, and he said the reason that he did it is this, he's with him right now, is this guy right here, and he panned his camera over to Derek Carr, and Derek Carr was chuckling, big smile on his face. And once again, it's just another example of how this team feels about each other, the relationships that they have built in such a short period of time. I mean, this is only the beginning of year 2, and the relationship between head coach and quarterback, head coach and the rest of the team is something that we should, put our heads up high and be thankful for. There's a lot of teams out there that don't have that kind of camaraderie right now. There's a lot of young teams, just like the Raiders, that are trying to, get out of 13 years of mediocrity, and they're trying to move forward themselves and become playoff contending type teams. And it takes more than just having talent on your football team. You have to build relationships with each other, as from the coaching staff, from the top down, man. I mean, everything has to be in place. And Jack talked about that too. He talked about, everything coming from the top down. So, and he was basically, I think that he was talking about Ken Norton, to be honest with you, that he knows that Ken Norton's going to have to step up his game, be able to make adjustments. But I got full confidence in Ken Norton. But I want to leave you, before break, I want to leave you with this thought. As much crap as we give Bill Musgrave for the game plan and the kind of plays that he calls during a game, I think, and someone mentioned this in the comment sections the other day, when are we going to actually start looking at Ken Norton and questioning his ability to line up these guys and put the right scheme together? The only thing that leads me confident moving forward is we got a head coach like Jack Del Rio who does understand defense and could help correct the ship. But at the end of the day, I think we need to start looking at Ken Norton too and being like, okay, dude, you have all this talent. You need to figure this out. It's only week one. There's no reason for any of us to stress, even on a guy like Bill Musgrave, because week one is what it is, and it's really an extension of the preseason. It's your first 4-quarter game where you got to knock off some rust and kind of build some momentum. And I believe the offense was able to do that, but defensively we got lit up. So once again, the ball is in Ken Norton's court, and he needs to do something with it. He showed the ability to do that last year. It took him a little while, but he pulled it off. But it is what it is. I'm still excited moving forward. We got the W. That's all that matters. And we're going to take a break right now. And when we get back, we're going to take a look at some of the things that Derek Carr had to say. I think there's some key things there that really highlight the fact that he's the leader of this football team and why the team responds the way it does. And it's because of the way that he treats everybody, the way that he has the vote of confidence in his teammates. And it's in a really exciting time for the Raider Nation. So we're going to go to break, and when we get back, we're going to take a look at that. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the W2W review. I am the Oakland Knight, and now we're going to start taking a look and dissecting some of the things that Derek Carr had to say yesterday in his press conference. I thought there was a lot of good information there. I think there was a lot of things that Derek Carr touched upon, and it's not so much maybe some of the things that he said as it's just the way he said it. I guess that's the wrong way to say it, because there is a couple of key things that he actually said that just exudes confidence, not only in himself, but for his teammates. And that that resonates throughout the whole locker room, not just the offensive side of the ball. He leads by example, so guys like Reggie Nelson on defense and Khalil Mack on defense could really take a lot of what Derek Carr shows as a leader of the offense, and they can apply it to each other on defense, even to a guy like Sean Smith, who right now is probably the one player on defense that has to look in the mirror and ask himself, what do I do moving forward? So, and Derek Carr touched on Sean Smith himself. So, Derek Carr is a part of that whole scenario as well. But let's go ahead and jump right into this. The first thing we'll talk about is, Derek Carr obviously was asked about his third down run for the first down where he dove over the defender. Derek Carr talked a lot about him doing that in high school, him doing that in college, and the way that his coaches, kind of looked at him and said, hey, no more of that. I like Jack Del Rio's response to it, where Jack Del Rio says, hey, we got him to stop using the stiff arm, so I guess now we got to start teaching him how not to dive over players. So that was pretty funny, and he laughed it off. But once again, Derek Carr leading by example, showing that he is willing to do anything and everything to win a football game. And if that is sacrificing his body, he's willing to do that. The question is, was that the right time? I believe it was. You're in a shootout. Early on, you're in a shootout. You know that you got to give your defense a breather. You got to give your defense some time to go over some footage on the sideline and try to figure it out. And although the defense never really got a good chance to figure it out and shut it down, Derek Carr shows you that he's willing to sacrifice himself to give you that time, that little extra time, and also give his offense, 3 more opportunities to push the ball up the field. So, Derek Carr continues to amaze me. You take all the statistics out of it, okay, because it is a full team sport. His individual statistics back up the fact of why he is the starter of this football team. But there's just something when it comes to your quarterback, you're looking for more than just statistics. You're looking for a guy that can relate to football players, to get the team to understand what it means to be a leader of this football team. You got to be able to resonate the kind of energy throughout 22 other players. Yes, even on the defensive side of the ball, by your actions and your words. And Derek Carr has that it factor. And I can't wait for his opportunity to shine in the playoffs, because that is the last thing that's really on his plate at this point for me. He's shown that he could be everything else that we need him to be. He just has not had the opportunity to show what kind of player he's going to be in the playoffs. And what we saw this Sunday was the opportunity that, this team is good enough to be able to be that team that lands up into the playoffs and could give us that momentum moving forward. So I want to start off again talking about something that he said. He was asked about Seth Roberts dropping some passes, and it was that play called to Seth Roberts. Was that the read the whole time? And he said yes. And he talked about the drop passes, and he says he doesn't let the drop passes affect him. He understands that, he sometimes throws the ball low, he throws the ball too high, he throws the ball way out of the reach of the wide receiver. And it just reiterates a point that I've always made, especially when it comes to, I've been on here, this will be the 3rd year, and I'm already still defending Derek Carr, which is absolutely ludicrous to me. I don't know why I continue to have to sit here and talk about the things to defend Derek Carr, but as fans, I get it. A lot of the times, we believe in something or we don't believe in something, but at the end of the day, we expect perfection. And if perfection was going to be that easy, and every single play was going to be a positive one, and every play was going to be for a touchdown or a first down or a big gain, then what would be the point of playing the game, right? We're all human. We all make mistakes. I know in our own professions, we make mistakes all the time. And how many times have you gone to McDonald's and ordered a cheeseburger and got some chicken nuggets? Or if you ordered an extra order of fries and didn't get it? Everybody makes mistakes. It's just a part of life. And Derek Carr accepts it full on, and he doesn't try to sugarcoat anything. And the key things that he said in his press conference was, I don't care how many times they drop the ball. I believe in my receivers. I believe that they're going to make plays for me, and I'm going to give them the chance to make those plays, regardless of what they did the play before or 2 plays before. And that right there, Raider Nation, is huge, okay? When you're able to take the podium, because he's saying the same things on the field, hey, you'll get the next one. Don't worry about it. I'm going to throw you the ball. And he continues to give his players confidence. And that's exactly why this team fights for him. just for him in general. I mean, if you look at that play that he threw to Michael Crabtree, I mean, in a situation, I mean, I didn't see it coming. It looked like he was either going to run out of bounds or throw the ball away. And Michael Crabtree comes out of nowhere, makes the catch, turns around, and makes a good push for the first down. These are the kind of things, I mean, Michael Crabtree has showcased that regardless, and I understand that part of it too. But guys, I mean, there's something to really say about Derek Carr and his ability to instill confidence in his wide receivers. I mean, we have a group of wide receivers that simply could be divas, demand the football, demand the respect, and they don't. They're all highly talented wide receivers, from Cooper to Crab to Seth Roberts. These guys have a skill set, but they play for each other. And that's something that we need to keep an eye on, moving forward, that these guys, it is a team. They play with a team mentality, and that's very rare in the NFL. A lot of the times you're going to get players that want to be the heroes, that they want to be the divas of their football team, and I do not see not one player that shows that on this football team. They're all there for each other. They're all supporting each other. They're all making plays for each other. Even when they had a letdown, a drop pass, or a fumble, they're right there. Another key moment in the game, when Jalen Richard ran for that 75-yard touchdown. Most of the times you'll see a quarterback run down all excited because, he just threw this great pass and the wide receiver makes a great play and he gets excited and he runs down there and shows him some love. When Jalen Richard ran that 75-yard touchdown run, Derek Carr was one of the first ones down there to greet him, put his arm around him, tap him on the head. Now, I really wish that we knew exactly what he told Jalen Richard, but, the kind of love and respect that Derek Carr gives every single player on this football team absolutely is amazing. It's one of the main reasons why we are where we're at as a team. And it's one of the main reasons why we were able to pull that game off on Sunday, down 14, heading in late to third quarter, entering the fourth quarter, is because this team truly, truly does care for one another. They play for one another. And that's exciting to see. And it not only started with Jack Del Rio and the confidence that he instilled into his quarterback and into his offense, but it's the leader of this football team. It's Derek Carr. He does that for everybody. Derek Carr mentioned Sean Smith in his presser. He's talking about, hey, I've seen the skill set that Sean Smith has. He's going to be fine. This guy is a playmaker in this league. He had a bad day. We all have bad days. He talked about himself. I've gone out there and thrown 3 interceptions. He made the joke that, not all of them are my fault, which I thought was pretty funny. But, at the end of the day, Derek Carr realizes that there's no such thing as perfection, especially in the National Football League. And you got to have the ability to bounce back, shake it off, move forward, and continue to instill confidence not only in yourself, but the other 10 guys that surround you on the field. And Derek Carr does a superb job of that. You can't teach that. You truly can't. There's some people that just don't have it in them. Look at a guy, for example, like Colin Kaepernick. He does not have that ability to motivate people around him. Right now, he's got himself inside the media, some of the things that he's doing. But once again, I think that's more self-centered. It's more self-centered than the big picture of things. But Derek Carr never makes it about himself. Derek Carr consistently makes it about this football team. And that's what makes him our starting quarterback. That's what makes him our leader. That's what makes him our captain. And that's what makes him the real reason why we're going to be successful moving forward, is because Derek Carr has that ability, that other gear to motivate other people. When you have the skill set, the leadership quality to be able to motivate the other people around you, that is more better than the physical ability and the physical gifts that he brings to the table. So keep an eye on Derek Carr, y'all. This guy is the real deal. His numbers back him up, but more importantly, his attitude and his relationship with his teammates speak louder than his numbers. So I'm excited personally moving forward, having Derek Carr as the leader of our football team. It's an exciting time for the Raider Nation. It's been 13 years, and last week was just the beginning, I think, of something very special. I think the stage is set for us to have a really strong and great year. Moving on, I'm ready to put the New Orleans Saints game behind us now. Now it's time to move forward and take a look at the Atlanta Falcons. And even though we're not going to do that here today on this show, we will start that tomorrow as we start looking at the press conferences once again of Jack Del Rio and Derek Carr. And how things are starting to shape up moving forward for the Atlanta Falcons. But there was another topic that came out yesterday, and I at one point I was really reluctant to even bring it up on the show because I believe it's more irrelevant than relevant at all. I understand the persona of the Raider Nation, back in black, the silver and black attack. Black is what we're known for. Black is our color. Black is our main persona, right? Black with the silver lining. But the Color Rush uniforms come out and they're all white with silver lining. Very little, very, very little black. More actually, I don't think I remember even seeing a black outline on it. So it got the Raider Nation stirred up once again. I mean, I guess as a fan base, we like to have things to be upset about when it comes to the NFL. And this is just another notch in the belt, right? You give us a Color Rush uniform that has no black in it. But if you kind of do the research and kind of dig into it a little bit more, as always, the Raiders are always going to be messed with. Us as a fan base is going to be messed with by the NFL. It's just become that kind of relationship between the Raider Nation and the NFL. But from what I've gathered yesterday about the situation, the decision was basically made due to the fact that last year when they did the uniform special or whatever, there was a lot of colorblind fans that had a hard time dictating players and teams on the field. And once I heard that really changed my whole attitude on the situation. As you all well know, I suffer from a visual impairment. I suffer from a form of macular degeneration, which is called Stargardt's, if you guys are interested in looking it up. And I know that contrast plays a huge part in what I do, even on the show when it comes to reading articles on the computer, watching things on TV, having things a certain size, and in contrast, color contrast is huge from me getting headaches or what have you. So when I'm reading a black and white article, it's a lot harder for me to do that. I have some tools and the computer has some great programs for me to change the contrast, blue background, yellow writing, yellow background, all kinds of different things you can do with today's technology. So when I heard that, I mean, right away, I mean, I'm okay with it. And on top of the fact, there's two other key points to why I don't find this to be as big of a deal as possible. Obviously, understanding visual impairment, I'm okay with it. But number two, I don't care what we wear. I'll be honest with you. And I don't care about having the fancy stadium. I don't need big screens. I don't need Wi-Fi's. I don't need clubhouse suites. I need a seat. Obviously I need a pair of binoculars, but I just need a seat and a place for my team to get on the field, play, and dominate a football game. That's all I care. That's my experience. Hey, it's always nice to have a nice cold beer waiting for me at top too. But, it doesn't matter what we wear, guys. We're going to have the right scheme. We're going to have the right, execution of the scheme to go out there and win in week out. And I don't care if we're wearing black, white, or what have you. But that being said too, it's a Thursday night game in Kansas City. So right off the bat, we were going to be wearing our white jerseys anyway. That's a road game. I know last week we got the luxury of wearing our black jerseys on opening weekend, in New Orleans. And that was exciting. But at the end of the day, I mean, 90% of the time or all the time we go into Kansas City, we're wearing our white jerseys anyway. The only difference between what we're going to be wearing in that Thursday night game and what we normally wear is essentially the white pants and the silver writing numbers. So that's why I don't really see it being a big deal. I mean, we normally wear white jerseys and silver pants with black lining. The fact that black is not on the jersey, yeah, that could be a little disturbing, but for all you jersey collectors out there, because I know there's a lot of people in the Raider Nation that love collecting jerseys, different styles. I mean, there's people I've seen wear the camouflage ones and what have you. These white Color Rush jerseys look really, really clean and sharp. I mean, it's something that you could wear with a pair of jeans on a normal day, and it just gives you a really clean look. And from the jersey standpoint, I like the look. I like the white on the silver. I think it's pretty good. I wish that the pants would have at least a black stripe on the side or something like that. But in this case, it doesn't. So, I mean, I get to those who it means a lot to. I understand. But to those who this is actually going to help enjoy the game, the people that are colorblind. I mean, a lot of the times we overlook other people's disabilities or we don't understand them. But, at the end of the day, I think it's definitely a different look, but it could have been a lot worse. I wish that myself there was a little bit more black to it. But I think that from a jersey standpoint, it's a really clean look. And, I'm not a jersey collector. I probably won't buy one, but that's neither here nor there. But, I think it's not a big deal. I just wanted to address it just because I wanted to point out the visual impairment part of it, because I think it's important, because, it's something that I suffer with. So I understand. I totally understand. So from that standpoint, I'm cool with it. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's how we play. All right, so we're out of time today, Raider Nation. But we will be back tomorrow to break down the Derek Carr press conference, the Jack Del Rio press conference, moving forward to the Atlanta Falcons, which I'm excited for. We can finally put the New Orleans game behind us. Don't forget to hit the like button on this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to go back and look at some of the other videos. We posted up a video, a podcast version of Charlie Boots, the guy who does Boots on the Ground for us on the podcast. He talked to Ted Hendricks. It's a great interview. It's a great piece. Make sure you go check it out and show Charlie Boots some love. And also, don't forget to follow us on Facegram, Instagram, Twitter, all at The Wheel to Win. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can email us at w2w@gmail.com. That is the w2w@gmail.com. All right, guys. Till tomorrow, I'm the Oakland Knight, and you stay Raider strong. Hey there, I'm Jason Smith, also known as the Oakland Knight. We'd like to thank you for watching the Will to Win broadcast here on YouTube. And if you would like to stay up to date for more content like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. Or you could click any one of the videos on the side to watch more great videos. Thank you once again, and stay Raider strong.